not surprised, Helen. Don't look, don't look, don't look. It's a surprise.
It's a surprise?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm trying to charm one of France's most important artists. From the 80s onwards, Sophie Calle invented a new kind of conceptual art, which is equally intellectual and sentimental, theoretical and romantic. She uses photography and writing to tell stories about her disappointments in love, about the men who left her broken-hearted, and in the aftermath of that, the strangers she's followed, the jobs she's taken, the loss she's felt. Her work is usually sad, but I want to start off on a happy note.
Yellow is a color of people which have been betrayed by their lover.
Really?
Yeah. And also is a color of what brings bad luck in theatre.
Right. Well, that
And also in bullfight, which is one of my obsession, it's a forbidden color. If you wear yellow at a bullfight, it means you want to bring bad luck. So, are you trying to bring me bad luck?
No,
to tell me my
no.
lover is betraying me?
I'm about to discover that Sophie Calle is not only one of France's most famous artists, but also one of the most difficult. I'd been advised to flirt with France's artist of love, but I was trained in the history of art, not matters of the heart. This is Sophie Calle's retrospective. It's been to Paris, Berlin, Dublin, and now Aachen. This is her latest work, Exquisite Pain. Like most of her art, it's inspired by the loss of a lover. It tells the story of a trip she made to the Far East. She arranged to meet her boyfriend 3 months later in Delhi, but on the appointed day, he never turned up.
That's the first day I left Paris,
Yeah.
92 days before. If you approach, you see they all have stamped on it.
Yeah.
You see the stamp?
Yeah.
13, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it starts 92 days to unhappiness when I left Paris,
Yeah.
and it goes to 1 day to unhappiness when I arrived in India.
Yeah.
Sophie counts down the days to a misery she cannot foresee, and then counts up the days until she's recovered from her loss. The work carries the paradoxical signature of Sophie's art. It appears to be steamily intimate, but it's also coldly detached.
50 days ago, the man I love left me. By phone. It was January 25th, 1985, at 2 in the morning. I was sitting on the bed in room 261 of the Imperial Hotel in New Delhi. I had just dialed his number in Paris. It was a brief exchange. Sophie, I wanted to come and take you in my arms and explain a few things. Have you met another woman? Yes.
So after you've made a piece like this and exhibited it all over the world, do you ever think I've given away too many of my secrets?
No, they are not secret. I don't give away anything.
No?
No.
Does that mean there's a...
That's banal, you know. Everybody has been
Really?
suffering for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't give away many things.
I would spend the next 6 months trying to persuade Sophie to reveal the secrets of her art. Her work has been acclaimed by international critics and curators, not only for its personal emotions, but for its philosophical significance. And even the local town mayor is aware of its deep meaning.
Die Philosophie des längst untergegangen geglaubten Existenzialismus wird so durch Sophie Calle bis heute fortgeschrieben.
The catalogue for Sophie's show is full of French art theory. Everyone talks very analytically about her art, except one person, the artist. She says everything in her work comes from her feelings and her relationships, right down to her first decision to become an artist.
I wanted to seduce my father. My father was an art collector. So when I came back in France after traveling for many years, I was 26. And I looked at what was on his wall and tried to imitate it.
I've read catalogues about your work, and they talk about Roland Barthes and the death of the author and Derrida. And did you read all that material as well?
No.
Does it mean anything to you?
No.
So what goes through your head when you read that?
I don't read it.
Sophie didn't want to talk, she wanted to play. There's one more distinctive aspect to her conceptual art. Most of her works are determined by a set of rules, a procedure, a game, or an idea decided by someone else. So she's exhibited the presents given to her on her birthday. She's hired private detectives to follow her around. And she lived once for a week in New York, according to the instructions of the famous writer Paul Auster. Now, Sophie said I could make a film about her, but only on one condition. I had to think up an idea of something for her to do.
It has to be seductive, it has to be agreeable to do, it has to be playful. I obey, but I want to choose first why I obey and who I obey to, so I want first to see what's your idea. Okay. I would not sign a blank paper.
Dear Sophie, in your recent work Exquisite Pain, you combined the story of your own heartbreak with the unhappiest experiences of other people. How about if we meet up in a cemetery and swap stories of moments when we wished we were dead? Yours hopefully, Ben.
Dear Ben, you would be talking to yourself. I have no wish to die. My only misfortunes have been sentimental ones. Amicalement, Sophie Calle.
Dear Sophie, I think I may have cracked it. I will come to Paris for a day. I will text you a question about your work, and you can text me back the name and address of someone to put the question to. In my ideal world, I would like to speak to your gallerist, the curator of your retrospective, a former boyfriend.
Dear Ben, what a shame you are almost there. But on reflection, the professional contacts which I could suggest to you would lack originality. The men who have left me have themselves left. I don't want to revisit them.
This was going to be more difficult than I thought. But there were people I could learn from. People who'd worked successfully with Sophie over many years. I headed for her Paris gallery.
Okay, here we have some couple of works. Sophie started in '81 this project. She found a job working in an hotel to be the femme de chambre. She cleans the room, but she take also little pictures like that, or she take note of everything happen in the room. I like also this idea, you know, she to arrive to produce this project, she need to have a real work from the real life, you know.
Sunday, March 1st, 10:45 a.m. The drawer, the chocolates, they haven't touched them. I take one. The room is fairly untidy. In a bathroom, the toweling rug has been put on top of the rubber shower mat. It's soaked. In the wastebasket, I find a pregnancy test, which I am unable to decipher.
But also you can imagine from the photo what's happened before. You can imagine what's drama, you know, exists also in this room, perhaps. Because if you have a lot of imagination and you see a photo with the suitcase like that, with the bed totally open, you see the difference between this day and this day, you know. It's totally different, no? Something happened.
What do you think that is, a dinner party?
Oh, she stole a chocolate.
The work Emmanuel showed me indicated what kind of rules Sophie liked to follow, and the way she liked the rules to lead to stories. But Emmanuel was not only an interpreter of Sophie's art, he'd once successfully done what I was now trying to do.
To convince Sophie to work in my gallery, I have just an idea, tricky to convince her. It was to waiting the April 16, 2001, because the 16 April 81, she realized a project very famous where she engaged a private detective to follow her. And I do exactly the same. I find the same agencies. And she said, okay, let's try to do something like that 20 years later, to see the evolution of the life of a woman 20 years later, and to see what can happen with the exact same process.